which is, so in our house, we want success and happiness, but there's problems, of course, and we want to take them out. And that means we're just focusing on taking the light, the darkness out, which we know is not logical, but we do that. Yeah. So the moment we can come to terms with that, then we can think, oh yeah, that is really, it makes no sense. Yeah. So what does materializing the intangible look like? Or what does it even mean to materialize something? Yeah, so let's get, so if in the middle of your page, if you can write nice and big, materializing the intangible. I'm going to, let me see, okay. Yeah. So we've got that, materializing the intangible. So let's look at what does intangible mean? Yeah, it just means that we can't measure it, can't see it, can't count it, can't what else? Yeah, can't touch it. So it's not, oh my goodness, can you move Dexter away, please? Please. Sorry. He's just scratching. He's a huge German Shepherd, and he sits right by my feet. and he knows I'm talking about him. He just sighed. Do you have a pet? Like, you guys have a pet?
3 dogs. 1,
oh,
2, 3. All on the bed, doing the laugh course with me. So yes, they can be quite full on.
Yeah, so okay, so you understand. That's why I can see you smiling. So he's chewing on my foot now. He's not happy. He's not happy that he's not allowed to do that. It's funny. Anyway, so cute. So that's intangible. Yeah, intangibles are they don't, you can't, but we know that it's there. Yeah, we can feel it when it's there. But it's so hard to say, okay, we have it. Then sometimes sometimes we don't know it until it's gone. You know, so we hear that, yeah, oh, I didn't know I have it until it's gone. Or like the kids, you know, when they're at home, we're like, you know, tear your hair out, and then they're on camp, and it's like, oh, yeah, it feels so empty. The house feels so empty without them. But it's like that, you know, you miss that. There's something when they're at home, we don't focus on that thing, but we know that when they're away, that we miss them. What is it that we miss? Yeah, is that intangible love or that connection between. So that connection is hard to say whether we have the connection. You feel it or you don't. But then if we don't know what it is, to say we have it, we'd have sometimes that's why sometimes we change when there's loss. You know, when we lose it, then we're realizing it's just too much. So we want to have that change. So that's what it is, why we need to materialize the intangible. You know, why we need to materialize that. So now, what is it that we are materializing? Well, our journey on this 21 days is to materialize that house. So we're going to draw that house now. Yeah. Yesterday, you didn't get to draw it. So today, we're going to draw it. And so the roof, if you follow me, we're going to draw. I try to picture it in my head first. So I'm going to draw with yellow because it's a bright house. So I picture the, do I need to? No. So I picture the roof first. And then I connect the dots. And then I picture the square base. Like that. And then I connect the dots. And connect these together. Yeah, it's not quite square base, but okay, so now we're going to draw the 7 rooms. So what I do is I picture the middle point from here to here. So it's midpoint, sort of, midpoint there. And then I will draw the hexagon in the middle because that will give me seven, whoops, about there, 7 rooms. And I picture this line here, this sort of like diagonal, which is fine. And then I join the dots to make the hexagon, which gives me the 6 rooms, plus itself makes 7 rooms. Now I can picture there's a line that goes diagonally like this, which makes it 6, 7. And then divide that into half, into 2. Now you've got the house with the 7 rooms. Actually, I drew a much better one before with just freehand as well as I'm talking. Okay, so now the top 3 rooms, well, I'm going to use red to write the intangibles in here because that's what we're trying to make, to intangibilize. Let me do this so I can see if there's other people coming in that I will acknowledge. Okay, so we have, I would write this one first, wisdom, being the wisdom. And then we have, here is our inner state. And here we have personality. And sometimes we say, this is my personality, why do I have to change? Well, if you're having what you need in your life already, then you don't have to change. But if you want to have the things in your life, perhaps it's not changing, it's maybe making the intangible tangible. And then it's virtue. Yeah, and the other 3, I'm going to keep it in gray lead because we're not focusing on them today. They are very important, yes. Of course, they're part of the house to keep it bright, to keep the issues out of our house. But I'm going to keep it in gray lead because we're not focusing on them. They're tangible. Yeah, it's easy to see them. So capability. On this side is our health, the physical health. I'm going to write physical. Oops, H. And here we've got material. If anytime you want to ask a question or make a comment or say something, please do. I don't feel like I'm talking by myself. Okay, so these are the 4 areas that we want to tangibilize. Yeah, is that such a word? I looked up. It's not a word, but it's to materialize, yeah, to make them come into life so that we know that it's there. So we can identify, oh yeah, I have that. Or yeah, that is a person with wisdom. Yeah, so how do we know? It's like, how do we know? If we don't know, if we don't know what it's like, then how do we have it? Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you ask your son to go, oh, go to the room and get something for me. Or go to the room and get me a bottle of fish sauce. But he's never seen a bottle of fish sauce before. He has no picture to know what to get, even if he wants to help you. Yeah, so we don't know what it is. How do we have it? How do we materialize? How do we then have it? Like own it. Yeah, so we need to. But first, we need to know what materializing an intangible look like. Like, what does it even mean? So we're going to explore a concept that might be, that is intangible, like love. Yeah, maybe that one is easier because love is intangible, right? But we know when we have it. Yeah, we know when we don't. So how come? How come? So let's look at love. I'm going to write in red because it's love. So let's write love really nice and big. And love has that symbol too. Yes. So when we see this, we know it's love. But that's about it. Yeah. And then sometimes it's in words. We can say we love, but we've heard of words is cheap. Yeah. So that too, you can tell me you love me, but you know what? I don't feel it. Yeah. And how many kids don't feel the parents' love either? Where the parents are saying, I love you so much. I love, I do it all out of love, but then the kids don't feel love. So then we have to know how to materialize this, yeah, intangible. That's why happiness and at peace and compassion, like they're hard to know what they are, because they're all intangible. Yeah, so let's look at love. And for me, so I'd love for you to explore what love means. How do you know that? So you can picture, with Eileen, you've got your husband. Yeah, you can imagine, you can picture what is it that makes you feel love. So I'm going to write my own. Yeah, and you can write it down, but if you have your own as well, because in the end there might be a little bonus for you in terms of love. So a little bonus to tell you about you. And as you move along this course, when we learn about the human structure, it will tell us a little bit more. So keep the information that you have now about love, because you can look at it and say, oh, that's what I'm, I'm more focused on that. So I know that I feel love when my husband talks to me. So talk and listen to me. Yeah. So if he talk and he listen to me, because it means to me that, it's time and attention. So love for me is talking and listening. Yeah. So talking and listening to me. And when he smiles at me, when he comes home and he smiles. If he comes home and he's not smiling, it's like, why? Yeah. Aren't you happy to see me? I don't feel love. Even you have a hard day, smile at me, and then I'll be happy to listen. So smiling, yeah, happy to see me. That's what it means to me. And then if he pays attention to my kids, yeah. So pay attention. So this is a bonus for being actually. To my kids, this isn't, yeah. So to my boys, they are 16 and 20, but I don't care. They need attention and I'm busy. So if he pays attention to my kids, it means that he's supporting me. Yeah, so I can do this. And so that's love to me. And if he thanks me, so when he thanks me, he's like, thank you for just thanking me. Thank me. It shows appreciation towards me. And that's how I feel loved. And he appreciates my efforts. And then I also like to hear him praising me. So he praises me. Praise me. Then I feel love, because, well, that means he's been observing. And sometimes praising me, it's not easy. When you praise someone for them to receive it, it's more like you observe them and you know what they like, what's important to them. So for me, that means that he's been looking, he's been paying attention when I don't have to tell him, because he sees all the. So these are the things that if I see, I know that I have love from Bin. So when Bin does this, then what happens is now he is so valuable in my life. Like I can't live without him. Can you see this now? So what happens is with a person like this who does, well, there's more, of course, the list is quite long. Yeah, but just an example, then he's very special to me. Yeah, he's very special because he makes me feel loved. And so now what happened in this case, Bin has made himself valuable. He's increased his value. So before we met and when we were, I guess, dating, he wasn't as valuable. Back then it was just, okay, you like me, I'm just going to, let's date, find out about each other. And as we lived together, he was showing this. Yeah, as he's showing it, he became so valuable. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's not earthquake, I promise you. Dexter, Dexter, can you move back, please? He's not going to with you and me here. It's not. Okay. So, all right. Yeah. So what happened is Bin has increased his value. Yeah. And because he is able to materialize this intangible value, intangible thing called love with me. Yeah. So if we are able to materialize this to people around us, then can we see the value that we have with people? Yeah. So it's important, isn't it? It's super important. So now Ben wants to be my husband, but if he doesn't know how to do this, he cannot be my husband. Yeah. The same with this. If people want to work with you, be with you, whatever that they want to be with you for, if you don't have this, if they don't see this in you, well, then you're not valuable. You're just the person. You're not the person who has the inner state, the person who makes them feel whatever that needs to be felt when you don't have this. Are you with me? Yeah. So we need, so that's the journey. And the journey is to materialize this. Yeah. And the same thing with Ben, what he's able to do is turn himself. So he's just a normal person. He's just a person, a man. But he is a very, very special man to me because he has now put the intangible in the material. So he's the material. He's reversed. He's done this. He's reversed this. Are you with me? So he's reversed this. He's material, but he's able now to put the intangible into the material, which is equally important. Are you, yeah? Okay, I can see Eileen nodding. So I'm good. Yeah, so our job, so my job, okay, so that goes on to my next slide. I'm happy for you to interrupt me if you want to. So here is my next slide. So what is our role on this journey together? What is our role on this journey together? So I wrote it out like this so we can read it. We can read it like this. What is our role on this journey together? Is, so for me, I do what I just shared with you, is to materialize the intangible values. Yeah, those 4 things, materialize them. Materialize what is compassion, what is gratitude, what is being at peace. My job is to do that. So I've learned it, and now I'm going to help you materialize them, to see what they are, to see what they look like. How do we know that when you do that, well, then people are going to see you having that. Yeah. But what's your job? Your job is like Bin. Yeah. Is to increase your value in people's eyes by giving yourself the intangible values. So you are going to have those. My job is to make them available for you so you know what it is so that you can create in your life. Yeah. And so this journey isn't just a journey to learn, because you know, you can just come and learn and then forget about it like at school, but it's not. It's one that we are going to import and export reality. That's why I really appreciate you know, like we said before, Nancy and Tom, who was so actively sharing in yesterday's call, because through their sharing, we have their reality, what it is that they are sharing, and we can adopt. We can use that to make sense and to have it in our life. Because when we share, say, that's why we say, you know, when we're around people who have, say, happiness, then somehow we can have it too. We are the average 5. Yeah, we look around us and we are the average 5. So why is that? Because of the reality that we see within them. So they share. So this is so important. This is why, that's why I encourage everyone to share. Yeah. So we are importing and exporting. So we take from others and we share ours so that we can, it's an importing and exporting reality journey, not a learning journey. Yeah. Not a learning journey. not a school type learning journey, not a knowledge collecting. Yeah, we collect knowledge as well as at the same time importing and exporting that reality. Hey, Jasmine, good to see you. Oh, and your hair down as well.
Yeah, he rolled off me, so I put him in the bed. So
you managed to put him down. That's good. No, I still love the photo I sent you. So I saw a beautiful photo of Will smiling, and I sent it to Jasmine. He was just so beautiful, so happy in mum's arms, learning about life, learning to be a good mum for him. Just so precious. So I sent it to Jasmine. Yeah, so this is the role, everyone. So just remember your role. Yeah, and that's mine. And we can expect that of each other and be on this journey together. And so that leads us to the next theory. Yeah, the next theory, which is about sharing, about activating our mind. So I kept it this way through. So this is it's like activating our brain. Yeah, our brain is here. We need to learn. We need to know new things and put and so through this process here, we can activate our brain, yeah, our mind. So I'm just going to go over it through learn. So we share what we've learned, what you learn. I think I'm going to use a different text font, so nice and big. You learn, share what you've learned. So through your lesson, your learning, what did you, so each day you will hear me ask you, what did you learn? What did you learn? What did you love? Let's use red for love. What did you love? I like to draw the heart for love. What did you love? And what are your key takeaways? So let's key takeaway. I don't have, okay, I'm going to use black then. I need more colors, see?
Yes.
Key. What are your key takeaways? So we call this because in the courses I go to, that's what they call it. But it's the answer to what you've been contemplating about. Yeah, your key takeaway. And so these are, so what did you learn? It's something new that you've discovered. So if I've shared with you something new that you never knew before, that's something you want to go over, to talk about, to share, because that activates that mind. It goes in there, it repeats, with all these things that people say about the brain, that we need to hear it over and over, the myelination. Okay, so we want to talk about it. So what did you learn? Just, you can tell me what I've just shared with you. That's a new learning if you've never heard it before. So you want to share it back. What you love is something that you can apply, like you can do, take action on, apply what you love. Yeah, I'll give you an example soon. And what you take away is, this is a really, really cool one, is say if you have been thinking about something. Say if you've been thinking about, oh, how do I show people what is inner state, and how do I have that? Yeah, and then today I share it with you, and you're like, oh, that's what inner state's like. Yeah, so it's an answer to something you've been contemplating, you've been wanting an answer for. So for me, for as long as I think my 5 years of journey, it was, how do I live this life actively with my kids and like doing all the stuff, but also have joy? I couldn't do one without the other. If I was to have joy, I felt guilty that I'm not working with them. Like, you know, if I just accept them for who they are, I felt like, well, then I need to fulfill my responsibility. And then when I'm sitting there working with them and making them, you know, study, then I feel guilty because shouldn't I be having fun? I couldn't find an answer. I was so torn for so long. And I'm so glad to have found the house. Honestly, that house has just solved everything for me. I realized that, now I know when people say, don't focus on the achievements. Then what do I focus on? Yeah, now I know what it is to focus on, these intangibles, so that they can have the tangibles. Yeah, anyway, there's and of course there's so much more. So that's an example of an answer on something that you've been mulling over, you know, you've been musing about, you've been contemplating, you've been thinking about over and over and over. Yeah, so these are the key takeaway. So every session now, when we come together, I'd love for you to share. So at the end of today's call, if you can share, that would be great. But tomorrow, that will be fine too. And if you don't share, I would encourage you to think about them or to write them down in your own, book. Because for the course that I do now for 8 months, every day after a session, a 2-hour session, shortest is 2 hours. Usually it's much longer. We'd have to do a video of our learn, love, and key takeaways. A video to send into the group, and they watch it and they monitor it. So, and that is over 8 months, we would be able to now have that habit of building onto and extending what we know. So that is activating this, our human brain. Yeah. And we can talk about the reptilian brain and the mammalian brain. And of course, what is this called again? The full frontal cortex, where, the analytical brain that, but what we need to do is basically do this every day. And so we start today. That means we've got 18 days. So by 18 days, and if you keep going after 21 days, I guess you have that habit of every time you learn something, you hear something new, you're like, oh, that's something new. Then you go over it. You can tell it to yourself. You can write it down. So it's a habit to activate that brain. And of course, we are on that journey. We are on a journey of, learning new concepts, changing what we knew to something new that is more, I guess, supportive of creating our life, creating the life that we dream, creating the person that we need to be, so that we can attract the people that we, the conditions into our life, so that we can have the life that we want. So we want to be able to, make the best of our, this wonderful machine, I'll say, or whatever, the support system that we have to live this life, in, to the best of our ability. So there we are. That's that one. Would you like to have an example of what it may? So for example, where are we? Okay, 47. I'm doing well. But I was writing this. Let me see. Activate the brain. Okay. So here's an example of what it looks like for the last few days. Yeah. So if you were to do it, and I haven't had a chance to go over this, which I will. So learn. Say, for example, what new things did you learn? Okay, you may have learned, or you may not. Don't know yet, but this is an example. So the 6 layers of the barrier. And then you can say, okay, they are da. That's something that you've learned. Yeah, what else did you learn? Oh, the boat and the water current. What did you learn about them? I've learned that, there's a boat and you go on the current and you go this way, then it's easier. And when you go the other way, you might need a motor, you might go backwards, and the motor is that motivation. Yeah, that we always constantly need so you can move along. You've also learned that cause plus condition equals result. What else did you learn? Turn on the light and add clear water. And what does that mean? That light is the 7 areas. What else did you learn? Oh yeah, the light is the 7, the wealth of wisdom, the wealth of inner state, the wealth of personality, the wealth of virtue, wealth of capability, wealth of health, wealth of material. I don't know what they are yet, but at least now I know that there are 7 areas. Yeah. So then now you may have questions. the question will be, oh, I wonder what they are. So when I share it with you, you're answering those questions, and that activates more, yeah, of the I think what are they called? Dendrites, and yeah, all those cells. Anyway, let's not go there because I don't know much about it. Science. Okay, so then what do you love? Yeah, what do you love? Well, I love the list of cause. Yeah, the list that I've written out in terms of cause and condition and results. So I'm saying here just one thing. So I love the list of cause, which is me. It's comforting to know that as long as I develop this list, I will have what I need to attract the conditions, which is people. I need to create the dream life, to create my dream life. Can you see how it's very personal? Yeah, now you're connecting it. It's very important to connect what we learn to who we are, because it's specific to us. Yeah, so that's why everyone should have something to share, and everyone would be listening because, oh, I want to borrow that. Eileen shared about that. I didn't think about that. I'm going to borrow that. Now it extends my learning. And of course, that's why we need, when we learn as a group, as a community, it's very strong. Very, very strong. So that's love. Okay, now let's go to key takeaway. See what we were to hear. Because I didn't write it up. Okay. Key takeaway is the answer to something. So I said, I've always wondered. So this is what my question were. I've always wondered why sometimes I flow along with life nicely, while other times I get stuck. How come? Sometimes I get stuck. Like what? Yeah, I thought I've got this figured out, but I still get stuck. Well, now I know that I need to know and understand the life laws and theories, and I put down here keys as well. So if I know the life laws and I know the theories and I know the keys, well then I won't have to get stuck. Example, cause plus condition equals result, and the light and the clear water. So now that I've learned this, I know why I get stuck. I still don't know I don't know what they are. So I'm going to keep learning. But at least that's what I know. I know why I got stuck now, because I wasn't flowing with the current. Yeah. So sometimes I'm lucky. I just flow with the current, and it's by luck because I wasn't clear. So it's that clarity. So as you're right, can you see also that it's very personal because it's answering my old question, what question I had. That's why in school we encourage the kids to ask questions. We stimulate their mind to ask more questions, have more questions. What, you don't have any questions? Because you don't have questions, you don't have answers. You don't have answers, then you're not learning anything new. Yeah, so that's the example. And that's all I have for today. Tomorrow we will have our last theory before we move into the real, thank you for your heart, Eileen. Into the real, material, like we start learning about ourselves. We start the cause, the list. Where's my list? Let me grab it. But we still have one more theory to go through. Where's my list? Here's the list. Do you remember the list? That's what I'm talking about. We're going to start with cause, with me first, with you. And so we're going to start looking at life through these three perspectives. So you can see here the theories are in here because it's about life, but we need to know them. Yeah. So that's all I have. I won't ask for your learn and love and key takeaway yet, but tomorrow I would love to hear them. So come in a bit earlier tomorrow, which is the 8 o'clock. And then, share, because they're very valuable for yourself to hear, and also for others. And for people who've learned this and people listening to this again, especially people in the community, this is how we create the merits and also the blessings, because we are helping people to deepen their understanding, to help people to have realizations and have the reality. So also to, you can share your stories. Oh yeah, I learned this and this has changed in my life, and that is going to help others to remember that picture. And they're like, oh, And that's the journey that I've been through. As in, I think for my changes, it wasn't from what I've learned. It was from just hearing people sharing their transformations that helped me to have, first of all, my belief in it, and then allowing it to transform for me. So we can, I really encourage you to share.
I I think this is good, like especially coming from the community. I think this makes me, because when we went through this in the beginning of the year, I was a bit like blur, like I didn't understand like why do we need to know all this, and then we went into like the further through the course. But then now with this, doing the summary, like doing it all over again, it makes sense, like why we actually need to understand the theory of life before we actually go into the keys, like you
Yes.
mentioned.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know why I put the 4 theories at the beginning. So in the library,
Yeah.
to 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, why do we have to learn all these?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that's making sense. But, I tell you, I've listened to the course like over and over and over many, many times. And yet the transformation or the deep understanding still comes from people sharing. So why I'm saying that is, yeah, you do it this time, and then maybe next month you come back, you might pick up something else, like more, Jasmine. Yeah, the more you do, and like now I'm doing the 8 months, which is really, really deep into these stuff. And still, when I go back to learn, I'm like, oh my Lord, how come I missed that? Yeah, because we don't know what we don't know. And so there's a lot of things that we don't know here. Oh, sorry, I lied. I have 2 more theories to share. The transformational process and also the circles of knowledge. That one's phenomenal. Yeah, those 2 are really important. Yeah. And so right here, when I'm sharing with you, sometimes it's the things that you don't know, like you don't know that you don't know. And so it's a little bit, fuzzy, because it's not in the unknown. Yeah. So when you know a little bit, then you understand a little bit. So when you listen to it again, you're like, oh, now I get that, because you've got now enough of knowledge to build on. Yeah, to build on something new. Yeah, and then you keep listening, you keep building on something. Yeah, there's always something new to take away with. Yeah, and I know Anting is here, and he knows. So he's done this. He's done the 8 months course before, and now he's sitting in my sessions because he's still picking up something else, because I've taken something else from it. Yeah, so he's, and I sit with other fellow mentors, and when they go through these stuff, I sit and I listen to them, and I'm like, oh, that's a great way of looking at it. How come I didn't pick that up? Yeah. So yeah, so I appreciate your share there, Jasmine. Thank you. And it's good for me to know too that you are taking something else from this. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we have 3 minutes. Aileen, do you want to tell me anything? Well, how do you feel going through this? Since you're the only one here with this is the first time.
The brand new, the newbie.
Yeah.
I just thought the house was really, really, really good, because sometimes you don't know, like people talk about, obviously the finance, health is important, finance is important, relationship is important, but I didn't realize that it needed to be the very solid pillars of to have a stable, happy life. I think that was really good for me to understand that. And the lights as well. I really like the lights. I've shared it with my husband, and I showed him the picture. My house looks terrible, so like it's all wobbly lines. But I think it was really clear to put emphasis on what the different lights are. So that was, obviously I don't know what they mean, like you said, like materializing the intangibles. I don't understand yet, but it's good to know that they are the makeup of the light, and they need to be balanced. And I think I like that. It helps me sort of look back and say, oh, that's the time when I really felt down, because my inner state was not at the level, or I felt very happy because I was making more money, but then I felt very sad, like it just makes it I'm starting to make connections. I think. Yeah.
I'm
So I really that house.
Yeah. And then when if you were to listen to this course again, or when you come back after you've done it once, you come back and you're like, oh, that makes sense. Just like Jasmine is saying now. Yeah. When you go through the whole journey and then you're like, oh, okay. That's why Lynn was talking about that at the
Yeah.
very beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes we get it and then we're like, yeah, we'll take it all in because there's so much that everything is new. Yeah, when I was going through this, that's why I said I listened to all of them. I couldn't stop because it was like, wow, there's more. And it's like, I've never heard of this. So we just want more and want more of it. And that's what I did. Yeah, so I understand. And it might feel a little bit, I don't want to put words into your mind, but a little bit like, oh, too much. If it is, just let it go. Just let it go. You know that it would just make sense. Slowly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. So thank you.